Nicole had been given control of both the Royal Knights and the 7 Great Demon Lords of the Mao, and with that he'd started telling them of a plan he had for what to do. He had decided on who all would be going, which would only be the Knight, the Mao, and the Digidestined with their partners along with Marine Angemon, and that would be it. Everyone else would stay at Shining Lake until they returned. There were some protests, but when he'd explained why he wanted them to stay, they started to agree to it, though some were still annoyed. They had taken a day to regain their strength and then would be off. It was now the next day, and the Digidestined were saying their goodbyes, with Nicole promising to return to Kuzuhamon once it was all over. Though she looked worried, she also agreed to let him do this without her. Those that could fit rode on Trailmon C-89 to go back to the castle, and soon they were all off, though Kuzuhamon watched until they were completely out of her line of sight. Once they were totally out of sight, she'd wished Nicole good luck and spoke more to herself than anything, wishing for him to come back safely to them for both of their sake. As she was saying this, she wrapped her arms around her abdomen slowly. The group conserved as much energy as they could for the upcoming battle, and once they'd arrived at the castle of Yggdrasil, they took note that it was still damaged with no one around to do repairs. It looked like the place was going to hell, but then that was appropriate given what they were doing there themselves and what Yggdrasil had done to the Digimon with this war. They were cautious, and Kat, Lucas, and Gizamon all digivolved into their currently most powerful states as Nicole led the group through the empty street, getting up to the broken and partially off its hinges door of the castle. BL Starmon busted through it, and they continued onwards towards the main throne room of the palace to challenge Yggdrasil. Nicole had a strange calm about him this time. Our leader of the Digidestined was focused on this task at hand and ready for what they were about to do as they came to the throne room, with the doors being blown completely off their hinges by Dukemon, with Nicole saying knock knock as they walked in, ready for the fight that was about to take place. Yggdrasil's 7D6 avatar questioned that they dare to challenge them again after what happened last time, though Nicole just laughed in their face, picking up a piece of the rubble around them before saying, "It's easy to beat someone when you stab them in the back. How about trying that head on instead?" before throwing the stone at Yggdrasil, who blocked it with a crystal. The avatar of the so-called god of the digital world then reminded them what he'd done to Panjamon and questioned if they would suffer the same fate. The others looked worried when they brought them up, but Nicole was calm. He simply walked over to where Panjamon's blade had been left behind and picked it up before looking at Yggdrasil and said that he wasn't going to make the same mistake twice. Nicole held up the weapon, pointing it at Yggdrasil's 7D6 avatar before telling him that the soul of a true swordsman resides in their blade. So long as he has it with him, Panjamon is still there fighting alongside them. As data particles appeared beside them, though see-through, it had taken the form of Panjamon for just a moment as it nodded before vanishing again. The avatar then questioned what they could do with only that, though Nicole smirked and told them that it wasn't just Panjamon. They all carried the dreams and hope of the Digimon around the digital world to end this meaningless war. Though Yggdrasil questioned what someone that was powerless could do since he destroyed their Digimon form, they couldn't do anything to fight. Nicole questioned, "Is that so?" before unleashing the blaze he'd had earlier on when they were at the Shining Lake, adding, "Could have fooled me." Though Yggdrasil had grown angry that he still had power and sent one of the crystals at him before he could fully unleash it, only for the crystal to have been stopped by Nicole using Panjamon's blade as his new power had wrapped around it as well. Our Digidestined leader called them pathetic before sending the crystal back at them. Though they tried to create the large crystal barrier to block it, it had part of it missing due to that crystal going right at them and jabbed into what would presumably be the shoulder part of the avatar. Dragumon said they ain't sitting so pretty now, jokingly, to which Snowy Anjawamon questioned since when were they ever pretty. This made the others laugh at them, angering the digital world's so-called god as they made the avatar heal itself, and Nicole asked if they were all ready to do this, and everyone then said that they were. Our Digidestined leader then said it's time to get serious. The strange blaze around Nicole completely engulfed him as his body changed into something new, growing much taller, standing about as tall as Alphamon, with armored wings spreading as his body had become armored like that of the Royal Knight. He then poured his power into the sword left behind by Pandramon, causing it to grow and change form so that the base of the blade was like that of a white lion's head. Kat looked like she was in awe and asked just what that new form was called, to which Nicole then answered, "I am Dark Nidramon. Now let's do this," before swinging his blade, sending a powerful slash at the avatar of Yggdrasil, with them putting up another shield. Though they only blocked it, their crystal shield did crack slightly from the single slash alone.